Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a better day than I am. I'm feeling pretty terrible overall. This will be my last video for the day. I appreciate your patience in having less content lately. Pretty much just feeling like crap. The joys of having a 3.5-month-old baby, they have a tendency of getting everybody in the household sick because they touch everything, put everything in their mouth. Anyways, he's healthy, back to normal. I'm the last one in the family with the cold now, so hopefully it passes soon. But mom had it for a week. It was pretty brutal. So hoping I get the good end or the long end of the stick. Okay, cool. So hypothetically here, we're going to look at XRP and understand where we're at. And I say hypothetical because right now Bitcoin is on the pullback. We could see further downside, and we're still in a descending trend. So no matter how much you love this coin, there's still a potential for pullback based on the simple fact that we are establishing lower highs and lower lows, or parallel lows in some ways. We'll look at the charts, of course, but the whole concept here is that looking at liquidation is going to help us. So hit the like button, comment below if you get a chance. We can see majority of local liquidation has been swept. There's a little bit of late longs of the 220 range with liquidation at those ranges. We can also see 235 to 240 is that upper level. That's kind of that heavy concentration. A lot of shorts will have a bad day if we see 240. But the key takeaway here is that there is technically more liquidation on the downside than the upside, implying two things. First of all, we have more people taking longs, but also we have, for the most part, a lot more potential for further downside. Now, that is contradictory to this here liquidation delta over the last 5 days. We can see in the last 5 days, specifically last 24 hours, we have a lot more liquidation on the downside. Basically, there's more shorts than longs in the market right now, okay? And that implies that the trend is down, and you don't generally want to try to take a long against that, right? That's just bad practice because you want to trade in direction of the trend. Right now, the trend is down. So in case you missed, or maybe you've been living under a rock, or you're just super emotional and you're thinking like, how could this coin get any lower? Well, it can and it will until it doesn't, right? So point of control 240, that's that local resistance here for us, and 260 secondary to that. Taking a look at the daily time frame, we can recognize that we are above some moving averages, just the 50, but below the 20 and the 200. This is generally not a favorable sign. You don't want to lose the 200-day SMA. Not to say that you can't still survive. I mean, if you look at this here, the price pulled all the way back here, technically closed below the 200-day SMA, rose back up above. We tested it here, and we're testing it here now. So it's not like the world's going to, the sky's going to fall and the world's going to collapse because of that. But for the most part, that's a bearish sign. That's a type of divergence that you don't generally want to buy into. All that being said, we can see here we've broken below 50 in the RSI. That is definitely a bearish sign. Money flow index did bounce off 30, but honestly, until it gets down as low as 20, I have no consideration to take it long. Money flow index is a good indicator, kind of letting you know how much money is flowing into this coin in the last 14 trading days. And in this case here, we're seeing money more so flowing out than in the last 2 weeks. Big surprise, price going down, descending trend. And once again, the trend is your friend, so don't try to take a long against this. Overall, the sentiment here is still bearish. We can see, even though we have a slight convergence on the MACD, it's a very standard type of knee-jerk reaction when the price comes down to sweep its previous area of liquidation. I didn't touch on this here, but if you look at the previous areas of liquidation, you can see this area here at 225, that heavy concentration that was hit here recently. That's actually where our short take profit target was. I think we hit 227 was our take profit target for our short on XRP. So overall, that's kind of where we're at there. We're under 50 in the RSI. These are just not signs you want to take a long into. It makes zero sense to do that. We have a macro descending trend. We also have a short-term descending trend. Until we get back up above some of these moving averages, or more importantly, our local point of control at 235, there's no reason to consider a long. Like, I get the concept of buying and adding to your spot bag. That's a different story altogether, though. Okay, if you're trying to just take a long because you're enraged that this coin's going down and it's just you feel like you're part of that XRP army, then that's a different story altogether, because that's just ridiculous and dumb. The smart thing to do is to wait for confirmation, which we don't have yet. 235 to 240 is the best place to consider that. Between now and then, you're kind of just shooting in the dark if you're trying to take a long right now. Okay, it's just not advisable. However, hourly time frame also confirms we're below some moving averages here. There's just really nothing that we can see here that's going to tell us the price is going to go up. Okay, unless there's some kind of fundamental catalyst, there's really no reason to presume we're going to go up on this coin. Cool. All right, hope that makes sense and I described it correctly. Thank you again so much for being an amazing part of my life, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Thanks again. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.